This is our last week in our marriage series. We're going to wrap it up today, and I was just wondering, is it helping anybody, anything? Crickets. All right, so we're going to move on then, since it's not really doing much. You know, it's okay to be like alive at church. I don't know if you know that. Like, this is conversation. We don't like preach, okay? I mean, I don't feel like I'm a preacher. I feel like I'm engaging in a conversation, and if you don't respond back, then I'm just going to keep talking. And that's what I'm going to do. So, like, the more response that you give, the less I'm going to talk. That's the way it works. So if you wonder why we go an hour, hour and a half, because you're not saying anything. Does that make sense? So you want me to get out of here, let's pick it up a little bit, all right? Today we want to finish, though. This is our Marriage Do's and Don'ts series, so we're just going to go through today. You need a notepad, you need a pencil, you need a pen, you need a phone, you need something to write down some things that are going to hit you today, because we're going to run through some of the biggest do's and don'ts that we want to leave you with in marriage and relationships. I think it's real important to understand that if you're not married, if you're single, if you're planning on being single forever, it doesn't really matter. These are things that can help you in your relationship. So we're going to start with the do's first. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We'll cover that. The do's. It's hard to say this without saying do. So I'm going to get that out of the way for all you 12-year-old guys.
You said do.
I know, because I laugh every time I say it. It cracks me up. Do. First words on my sheet are do. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I know it's immature. I understand that. But that don't make it any less funny. I can't even start now.
You want me to start?
Okay, yeah, you start.
Okay. Number one, and Seth, bless his little heart back there, he's trying to keep up with us and put this on the screen as fast as his little typing hands will go. So, number one is do establish priorities.
You have to, if you want to have a successful marriage, you have to establish priorities, and you have to establish correct priorities. It's a huge thing, is God has to be number one in your life. And I say that
over your spouse.
Yeah, I say that in your life.
Over any relationship.
Specifically, because God can't be number one in your marriage if he's number 5 in your life. Does that make sense? Like, if you want to live, you have to live by the will of God. That's where true life is. So if a live person who lives in the will of God, which is what makes you alive, and a dead person, a person who lives outside the will of God, are trying to make it work, it's going to be a struggle. Like, it's going to be like being on life support. Your marriage is going to be struggling, and it's sure not going to be the marriage that you really want. So you have to establish that priority. Our God has to come first in our lives, and I don't care if it's what you're doing. If God is not up front and in the center of it, you're going to struggle. Our lives did not change until God became number one. And let me tell you, we're spending a little time on this because if you don't get this one, none of the other ones work. You'll have a little success here and there, and things will be better than they were, but you will never have the marriage you want until God is the number one priority in your life. Then your spouse has to be number 2, not your job, not your kids. This is very, very, very important. Your kids cannot come before your spouse. I was thinking about this morning, and if whatever you sow the most into is what's going to stay. So if you put your kids first, your kids are going to outlast your spouse. How many of you want your kids to outlast your spouse? No, we want our kids to go. We're training them and raising them to go.
That's our God-given role, is to train your kids up to
Raise
be
them,
out in the world on their own.
beat them, smack them around. No, just survive them, however you look at them. But the thing is, if you make your kids a priority, your kids will be there, but your spouse won't. And how many of you guys come from a divorced family where your parents were divorced? That's not what kids want, is it? Kids don't want their parents divorced. So kids don't understand that they don't want to be number one. Kids don't want to be the priority. They may think they do, but they really don't, because they want your marriage to be the priority. Our kids are going to be so much better off if our marriage is stable and secure. That's where your kids are going to find their security. So if you want your marriage to outlast your children leaving, then your marriage has to come before your children. Okay? Number 2, do have dates. Just because you get married doesn't mean the dating should end. Whatever you did to make the person fall in love with you, to marry you, however you entrapped them, no, I shouldn't say that. Whatever you did to force them, whether you drugged them or whatever you did, you got to keep, don't keep doing that. We have to learn to date well. Look, you can have date nights and not date well. How many of you guys have been on a bad date since you got married? I'm the only one. You better. Yeah.
We've been on a date night before. This is too funny. Well, we've been married 23 years, so we had a lot of dates. We didn't really start doing all this till probably 12 years ago, maybe or so. But we started the date night and doing that every Friday night. And so people up here know I'm probably not going to show up if we have some on a Friday night. Sometimes I will, because we'll switch it to Saturday night. But anyway, we were mad at each other. We got in an argument on Friday about something, on one of our Fridays. But we knew date night was a priority no matter what. So we got in the car and went to see a movie. We didn't speak 2 words the whole date.
The movie was good.
Yeah. But we still kept it a priority.
We ate dinner too. Not a word. But hey, man, we were dating.
After the movie, though, the movie usually makes you happy. Well, the ones we see anyway. We only see comedies most of the time, because that's what we like.
She won't watch anything about people getting killed, so I like those kind of movies. And then I won't watch anything that's about people crying, and so.
Yeah. So we meet in the middle.
I like the movies where people get killed and don't cry.
So we try to meet in the middle on date night.
So we're very restricted to G-rated comedies or something. It's hard to go see a movie. We refuse to go see rated R movies. That's just a priority for us, because I just think it takes. I just think it feeds something into your soul that I don't want. I left that life and I don't really want it back.
Hey, that's on this list
And
somewhere.
and
Here's
so,
a don't. Let's go to that don't. Don't let your old life back in.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's one of the reasons we don't do that, because there's been issues in our relationship with things that you would see in a rated R movie. So we don't want to stir up that spirit, if you know what I mean, by going and seeing that. So we don't. It's worked well.
It whittles your movie going down.
Yeah.
But it's all right. I don't really miss out on much, so it's all good. But do have date nights. Make them sacred, man. If your kid, first thing's going to happen, your kids are going to start whining and crying and crying and carrying on. No, I don't want you to go. I don't want. Hey, it's date night. Deal with it. You're the boss. I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, but you're the boss. Mm-hmm. Okay, you are in charge of your home. Okay, that's important. Have date nights and don't let other things get in the way. If your kid's got something on date night, if your kid's graduating on Friday night, forget it. No, I'm not. You got to be a little flexible, but you got to establish a high priority. That's all I'm telling you. Exactly. Hey, I'll do anything to get out of that.
Number 3.
Listen, this is important. You have to put the emphasis on the right syllable. So, do practice communication. A lot of us feel like we communicate, but most of it's yelling and screaming, and I'm right and you're wrong, and it's one-sided. It's what I'm saying, but I'm not what I'm hearing. You have to practice communication. Now remember, we've gone through this in this series, but all of us don't speak the same language. Actually, most of the time, I found this to be true in marriage. Most marriages, you speak the exact opposite language of the person that your significant other, and
You have to work really hard to
it's
communicate.
hard, man. It does not come easy. It is not natural. It isn't natural for me to just bust out in Greek, right? But that's what we're doing in our marriages, man. I'm speaking my language and she's speaking hers, and we're just like, I don't know why we're not getting anywhere. Blah, blah. So it's terrible. You got to learn, though. You got to practice it. Practice, practice, practice. And this is one of my do's, and maybe not hers. But when you're practicing things that are hard, it's always better to do it naked. Tends to be a lot less fighting. That's all I'm saying. That's just all I'm going to say about that, because my mom's here and she's extremely embarrassed.
And your daughter.
And my daughter's here and she's left.
All right.
She hates when we
number-
talk
I know.
about this
Can't
stuff,
stand
too.
it. But guys, you got to talk about this stuff. This is like what you want your kids to do when they get married, right? You want them, I mean, this is how it's going to last, so they have to talk about it. Number 4, do be nice.
Just be nice.
Just be nice.
You know why your marriage isn't working? Because you're not being nice.
We are more nice to people that we don't even know
That's
than we
a
are
fact.
to each other.
I told her that one day, like, you're nicer to strangers than you are to me.
And it is true. Is it not?
Why
I
do
mean,
we do that?
we do that because we feel so comfortable. Like, we know that we're not getting a divorce, so I know he's not leaving, so I can say whatever I want to. Well, that's not right. You know? That's not right.
I might just go to my mama's house.
So
She's not nice to me either, though. If
No.
we're fighting, she always takes her side. So just be nice. This is how we show honor and respect. Guys, you have to learn to honor and respect each other. And not just in marriage. I want to say this. Socially, we have to learn to honor and respect. I noticed myself griping about some decisions made at school. And then I look around and my kids are griping about their teachers and their coaches and whatever, and I'm thinking, where do they learn that? They learn to dishonor from us. And what I want my kids to know is that if you will honor your elders, like this is gone in society. Have y'all noticed that? Like, if we will learn to honor our elders, honor our authorities, and listen, man, this goes everything to like, I know that it's tough. But our president was elected, and he is established as the authority of this country by God. I'm sorry to tell you that. But all A-L-L authority, this is what the Bible says, all authority is established by God. And so when we look at that, that means if we will not submit to authority, we will not submit to God. And that's the hardest lesson I've ever learned in my life, or even working on learning. It's hard. I have a hard time driving 65. I do. I'm very impatient. I don't understand. Cars aren't. I mean, my car will stop. My car drives good at 65. My car drives good at 85. Not that I would know, because I don't do that. A little bit.
Well, I've learned to just set my cruise. I just set my cruise no matter what, so
But
I
that's
don't
an
speed.
authority issue. If we can't drive the speed limit, we're breaking the law. That's an authority issue. If we refuse to follow the rules, that's an authority issue. And when we have authority issues, then we can understand why our kids don't honor us, why our kids disobey us, why our kids have no respect for us. We teach them everything they know.
In order for you to be honored, you have to be
Honorable.
Honorable.
Honoring.
You have to be
Honoring.
honoring.
Honorable.
Yeah.
Honorist.
You have to honor.
Honoree. A lot of you guys are honorary. The older you get, the more honoree you get. Okay, number 5, do know each other. And I mean that, K-N-O-W, get to know each other. One of the biggest failures, I believe, in our marriage is that we knew each other and we got comfortable, and believe it or not, you're always changing and you're always growing. You're always becoming. She's not who I married, and I'm sure not who she married. We are becoming. The problem is we stopped. We said, I know you, and we went on in neutral for years. And one day I woke up and I'm like, I don't know who this person is, and I'm not sure I like her. You have to work at knowing each other. And the only way you can know each other is share your hopes, share your dreams. When we were young and married, oh, baby, one day it's going to be so good. And
We were so spoiled. We were out in California. We would get the car, roll down the
Wind
windows,
blowing through your hair.
down 101 with the ocean. My hair was big and it blew out like that.
This big.
Yeah, it really was.
We had to get a twin bed for her hair.
It was huge. Oh, but man, things were just, I don't know, just great back in the end.
And then all of a sudden, man, you stop. I don't know whether you stop hoping or dreaming or what, but you just kind of quit and shift into neutral.
I think
like
maybe you reach some of your goals that you've had in the beginning, and then now what?
So
You know?
I think you have to work at it. You have to constantly be sharing and communicating about where are you
That's on
going
there.
and what are you,
Yeah.
what's your hopes and dreams, what are mine, and I think that's important. That goes to the next one that I want to cover is do have a vision for your marriage.
Where you're going.
You have to know where you're going. Like if any leader doesn't have a vision for where they're going, then why in the world would anybody follow? And if you, as a husband, don't have a vision for where your marriage is going, how can your wife follow? And if you, as parents, don't have a vision for where your marriage is going, how can your kids know? And everything is just in chaos. You have to know what it is that we want out of this marriage, what it is that I want out of this relationship, what are our common goals. I heard Dr. Jimmy Evans, we went to a marriage seminar with him.
Which we go to stuff like that all the time because
You have to, because like if you think you got marriage down, man, it's just time bomb waiting to go off.
Yeah.
Dr. Jimmy Evans said, though, you need to at least once a year have a marriage retreat where you and your wife get away by yourself with no kids, and you have to nail down your vision
For
and
the
make
year.
sure you're still on the same page. And I think that's so important. We try to do that. We try to do that more often than that because I think we're more messed up than most. Like if we go a year, man, there's no telling where we could be. So like we're every quarter, maybe every 6 months, we need to like, hey, bring it back.
Yeah.
I'm a little spastic, so
Number 6 or
no
7.
comment on that, huh?
No comment. I don't know which one it is.
Number
Do work to keep the romance alive.
This goes back to where we started, man. It's what you did to get married. But I think sometimes we lose romance. Like after so long of being married, the romantic
Neutral.
things you did to make the other one fall in love, man, you just quit thinking that way.
Right.
And it
You're so busy. Kids are doing this and that. It's just hard to keep that in the forefront.
like, guys, you gotta go around, and I'm not saying you have to every time, but man, it's good to go around and open the car door.
Scott does that. Don't you do that?
Scott, man, that
I know.
guy.
I love him being around here. You're such a good example.
He is.
But you know what?
Making
He
us
used
all
to.
look bad. We appreciate it.
You used to do that for me though.
Yeah.
I remember because I was shocked.
Well, my cars have always had little tricks. So, like, you had to know the trick to open the
Right.
door. So, it wasn't like I was romantic. It was like, here, you got to kick
me
it,
show you
slice
how.
it once, push here, and then pull.
Oh man.
I mean, you may have a car like that and just say, man, no, I'm being romantic.
Yeah.
One day, though, GM's coming out with a door opener. Not just to unlock her.
You know they
Door
do that for the
open.
back. They do that for the trunk. I don't know why they don't do that for the.
Well, them guys never, I'm always romantic. Shh, watch it. Oh,
Hey, I'd take it. Anything.
Just look for ways to be romantic. Flowers for no reason. And look, you
Or
know,
maybe a single rose.
for nothing though, but
Or
like,
cherries.
but like that's the thing. Don't be obnoxious. Like, don't be like Scott. Don't get a dozen. Just go get like a flower. You know, it's okay. Not all of us can be Scott. But something nice, like, okay, I know her favorite candy is Reese's. So like, leave a Reese's cup on her, you know, seat of her car. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Wait, think through your romantic actions. There's things you can do though, man. One thing I found she really likes is I try to do the dishes and clean the house, at least the part you see when you walk in before she comes home at night. Because I know she's been at work since I went to work, then I got off and she went to work again. And so by the time she comes home, I try to have the house looking, you know, decent.
Yeah.
The dishes, though, that's a big thing because she really hates to do the dishes. I'm not up to doing laundry yet. But we're not that romantic.
You know, women are like that. If you can't just have a relaxing evening if everything's cluttered and all over the place. Well, most people. It depends on your personality.
My
type.
daughter can.
Yeah, some people can. But, you know, with us, it's like I have to have things just like organized or at least clean before I can actually have a conversation with him, you know? Because it's just messed up.
Okay, number 8, do
There you
this. This is something I added to the list. I've got a number 8. So it's going to have to go on the fly here. Have fun. How many things do you really stick with that aren't fun? I mean, it's rare that you go, man, I despise this, but I'm going to do it for the next 20 years. Right? Have fun. Yeah. Like, we love to laugh. And I think laughter is the best thing to hold your marriage together. Find those things that are fun, enjoyable, stress-free, and do more. If Six Flags is your thing, go.
Get the season pass.
Go do it. It's not my thing, but if it's yours, go do it. That is torture for me. That's the eastern gate of Hades. It's the least fun thing on earth. Like if Disney is the happiest place on earth, Six Flags is the hell of it. But if that's your thing, go do it. We love movies because a lot of it's just sitting. I like sitting and I like eating. But the thing is, we do go see funny movies because it's fun to laugh. Like, it's not as funny, like we went and saw, what was the one about the World War II? Unbreakable?
Unbroken.
Unbroken?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that wasn't fun. I mean, that's good, intense, but not fun. Like, we try to really go and see fun things because I think it's good to laugh. So have fun. Do more of what makes you laugh in your marriage. Like, if you find something that both of you really enjoy, why wouldn't you just do more of that? Right? Okay, so that's my do list. Here, let's don't real quick. Don'ts. This one's huge. Everybody should be tattooing this on their spouse's neck. Okay, this is it. Whatever. I don't know. Is that a good place to get a tattoo? Probably not.
That hurts.
Well, it's harder to get a job if you got this.
That's true. It's hard.
Like Mike Tyson looking. Anyway, this is important, so you need to write this down. And we covered it kind of, but don't let the kids rule the house. Don't let the kids rule the house. Don't let the kids' schedule rule the schedule. Don't let the kids' opinions. Don't let the kids decide what we're going to eat. Don't let the kids decide where we're going to eat. Don't let the kids decide when we're going to eat. Don't let the kids rule their house. First of all, you should be making those decisions. Learn how to make a decision. It'll help you in life. Second of all, be good with your decision. No matter who complains, it's going to make you a stronger person. Third of all, they need to learn honor and respect even when it's not something they like. True. Don't let the kids rule the house. Now, this is important, and this is like on 10 important because there's a lot of blended families here. And I'm going to say this, and you can be however you want to be with me, but this is the way it is. If you want your marriage to work and if you want your marriage to be profitable, your marriage comes before your kids, even if your kids were before your marriage. It's important. If you trust and love someone enough to marry them, then you ought to trust and love them enough to let them discipline your kids, you're in a marriage to make decisions for your kids. It's not my kids and our marriage. That ship sailed. If you decide to get married and you have kids, you have hopefully picked a person that you can trust in raising your kids, because that's what you married. And the marriage, if you want your marriage to last, you have to work those issues out.
Because your kids see that you're divided. So they're going to play it against you, and then it's going to make more fights with your spouse when they see that they can wedge in there and play mom against dad, or, it's just not good.
You have to work it out, though. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I'm saying
have a
you've
retreat.
Got to work it out. God says don't get divorced. Everybody's like, oh, but I need to. Okay, God didn't say I'm going to kill you if you get divorced. All right? God says if you get divorced, it's better to not get married. Right? Well, you have to think, God knows what's hard, the hardest way to live. He knows what's the easiest way to live, the best path for life. So God's not saying I'm going to kill you if you get divorced. I'm going to kill you if you get remarried. You're a filthy sinner who I'm disconnected from. Right. He said this is going to be tough. Remember last week Brandis did the sand thing? Once you mix that sand, the colored sands, you can't separate them. And when you mix mixed sand,
it's tough.
It's tougher. And when you mixed sand, do you understand that there is a supernatural law at work that you may not be aware of? It's the law of the soul tie. On a level different from where your physical marriage is, the two becoming one flesh, there is a soul tie, and your souls are tied to everyone that you've been with. And this is extremely important because when you get divorced,
we're talking sexually, okay? Just putting that out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even giving your heart to someone. How many of you give your heart to someone and it still hurts, or it still makes you angry, or you wish you wouldn't have given your heart away? That intimacy creates a soul tie, and when you have that soul tie, you don't just get to walk away from it. So once you get married, and once you get divorced, and once you get remarried, man, all of these soul ties are still there. And there are ways to break these soul ties, okay? There are ways to move on from these things, but it is hard and it takes years of work. So what I'm telling you is you have to understand that once you go through these things, there are things you're going to have to deal with that other people aren't. Like if we all had followed God's will our whole life, a lot of our lives wouldn't be in the mess it's in the first place, right? We can agree to that. Like God's way was better. Now I'm older, I look back and I go, man, I wish I'd done it God's way, this way, this way, this way, this way, because this has caused all this trouble and pain. It doesn't mean my life is over. It just means that His way is better. But I have to deal with all of the messes I've created and all of the soul ties and all of the parts of my life where I broke the will of God. And so when we have these things, then we have to deal with them. And one way of having to deal with it is when we have blended families, you have to learn to deal with your children differently than, say, me and Celia. We don't have any other children. We don't have any other. We've only been married to each other, so we don't have those issues. So that's one less thing for us to have to deal with. I'm sorry, not everybody has that. Most people don't have that. So you have to learn to deal with those situations a lot differently. And they can be done right. So it's real important. Don't let the kids rule. As we go on from that, I'm going to go to the next one I want to talk about is don't, and some of you guys are going to balk at this, don't separate your finances. Some people have different opinions of that. Finances are one of the worst things in marriage. It's one of the things that causes marriage to break down more than probably just about anything else. And one of the things that we tend to do in our world today is you have yours and I have mine. But if you do that, you're going to struggle in your marriage because you're not fully given. How can you trust and honor someone in everything but? Like, I love you and I trust you and I honor you, but you're terrible with money. Well, I'm terrible with money. You know what? We're in a relationship, a partnership. The two have become one. I know where I'm weak. She does our money because she's good at it. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean she gives me whatever. What we did one time and it worked. If this is your problem, we each got an allowance, like spending
like kids.
money. Because then I could do whatever I want to without asking and, it's not about asking. It's more about screwing up the finances. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, babe, guess what? I just spent $800. Yeah, those aren't good.
How?
Like, so
It wasn't there, yeah.
Yeah, you should have called me first because we only had 300. Those are issues. See how that works?
Yeah.
So we said, well,
y'all hear that? Oh, it's wearing me out. Button that button right there. It's just. Be real still. Okay.
Is there a bee on me?
Keep going.
The last time I'll spend anything. Okay.
Anyway, carry on. Sorry, it's bugging me.
Now I feel like I'm choking to death. I love how these guys wear their top buttons looking all cool. Okay. One thing, though, that separating our finances is, it's hard, I understand. But what happens if you keep your finances separate? One thing I've seen happen a lot is, well, he's spending his money on that. I'm going to spend my money on this. And you never get anywhere because you're always one-upping each other. And it's a struggle. And I'm not saying this is a law, like Todd said, we got to do this. What I'm telling you is if you separate your finances, where does it stop? Are you truly one? I mean, if you can't even trust each other with money, are you truly together? I think what we really do, guys, is make it real easy to divorce. I think that's what keeping our money and stuff separate is. The most stuff we keep separate, the less the lawyers have to separate out. And we didn't really we didn't go into marriage to divorce like that. So that's one of our things, though. Number 6 was on our list was don't let divorce be an option. If you're throwing out divorce every time you get in a fight, you're messing up your marriage big time. You need to sit down and you need to say, look, we're married and that's it. That's the way it's going to be. That's commitment. And when we commit to that marriage, do not ever let divorce be an option. If you just take it off the table, it has a stopping place for your fights. And
you're forced to work through it.
Yeah.
If you know you're not leaving. It shows your kids you're not going to take the easy way out. I'm not just going to check out and say whatever. And your kids, I think, would appreciate that as well, that mom and dad are not separating.
Our kids see us fight, but it doesn't really affect them because they know we're not going anywhere. I mean, one of us may end up in the backyard.
Walking around.
Buried. No, just kidding. One of us. If I don't show up on Sunday, come digging around my backyard. Just don't let it be an option. If you take it off the table, it's so much easier. Do you understand? Like, I know couples, and every time they get in a fight, I'm just leaving. Well, take that off the table. It's not an option.
Work through it.
It means you got to sit there and work through it.
It's a covenant. It's not just a contract.
All right. Yeah. Okay, this is an important one too. Don't let technology replace human interaction. Don't let technology replace human interaction. How many of you guys text each other? What I started showing her the other day is like, here's our interaction. Go do this. Yes. Go do that. Yes.
Pick up
Go
this.
do this. Yes. I'm like, this is our interaction. And I'm like, this isn't good because everything is so short in fact, like just the facts. Well, we don't have that interaction and you don't have that conversation. I'll tell you this, and this, I'll sound like Scott. I still like to hear her voice when I answer the phone. Right? Amen, Scott. There you go. I do. She still turns me on.
Credit. That was a credit.
Like, but you know what I don't like? I don't like text messages from my wife. Because what that says to me, because I know when I text, it's to keep things short and moving. Just like I'm moving through life and it's like I don't want to spend 15 minutes in this conversation. I need this and this is, so it's, man, and I'm like that with my daughter. You know, it's a pace of life, and I'm like that with a lot of people, but I don't want to be like that with her. Like I want her to say, hey, I love you. I just called to tell you I love you. Because, you know, that would be nice every once in a while. It's just nice to hear.
True. And when you're having a conversation and the text is going off, yeah.
Don't.
Okay. Hang
Okay,
on a
let me
minute.
tell
I
y'all
gotta call
this.
this person back.
If I'm talking to you, don't answer your text. Like if we're in a face-to-face conversation, I won't say, I may not say, I probably will say something. No, I probably won't say anything, but I'll tell you what I'm thinking. That is rude. Like, do not be texting while I'm talking to you. My daughter does that to me, and it, whew, man, I mean, like, I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's going, yeah, huh?
But that's something I think of this generation is different than we were. There's no eye contact. There's no one-on-one. And so we really do have to learn when you're talking to somebody, your phone is not the most important thing going on. You can not answer it for like an hour, and it's okay.
I would say if you go on date night, it would be a very smart thing. I mean, if you have kids, I understand, and you need something there, but
right,
but leave the phone in the car when you go into the restaurant.
Your
kids will be okay for 30 minutes an hour, right? I mean, can we all maybe? I mean, I know some of your kids, maybe not.
I mean, we haven't had cell phones for all that long. What do we used to do? You know, we didn't have any.
It's crazy how dependent we are, but man, that technology has started getting into place of and causing serious problems in our relationships. How many of you guys let Facebook change your mood? That's causing a problem in your marriage. I'll tell you this: you want to do yourself a service? Do not take your cell phone into the bedroom. Yeah. Do not. Because that's a place of intimacy, and there's nothing worse than having an intimate conversation while texts are going off and notifications are going off. And I mean, mood killers one, but devaluing the person that you're with, that's what we're doing. We're disrespecting and devaluing you're saying that this is more important than that. And I want her to know that she is the absolute most important thing that I'm doing right now. Yeah. Now, if we're at work, go get this. I'll text her. She can text me. We're trying to get things done. I don't have time to say I love you. I'm busy. I'll say I love you at 5. I understand, but we have to, guys, oh, it's so important, man. It goes back to respect and honor and romance and love and those things. Like, God's the most. Can you imagine? You're getting down on your knee to get married. You're to have somebody marry. You got roses and candy, man. You know, music going in the background. Just you're moving.
Bring, bring, bring.
The
Mood
heck?
killer. Yeah.
Hang on, I got to get this. Okay, what was you wanting? Oh, I was going to ask you to marry me. Never mind. I'll text you later. See how romantic that is? Oh, and you young kids, don't ask anybody or accept a marriage proposal by text. Because I know that's coming. If somebody texts you to marry them, just delete them. Because that's the way your marriage is going to be. All right. Okay. Don't let the... did y'all get don't let the old life back in?
We said that,
Yeah. That's...
You know, very simple things. Anything you've struggled with in the past, don't let it creep back in at all. We have safeguards even around here for various things. We don't... here's something. Do not go to lunch with someone of the opposite sex by yourself. Just don't do it. I don't care if you're friends or whatever, but just don't do it. Don't let yourself get into situations that could turn.
Or even give the appearance of that. Like
oh yeah, you
like
give
a
the
lot
appearance.
of times, I get funky a lot of times if it's just me and Brandis up here working, and it's because of the appearance of what
Right.
things could be. And I mean, I love her like a daughter.
Right.
But it's one of those
Everybody's
things,
watching.
man. Everybody's waiting on you to mess
To
up.
fail.
Because, man, the people like to point out your failures. That's what I found in my life, man. Everybody wants me to fail.
But if you safeguard yourself, then you don't have to
Right.
worry with that.
Okay, and this is the last one I'm going to hit. Don't let addiction steal your marriage. There are all kinds of addictions out there, and probably when I said that, some things came to your mind. But an addiction is an affair in your marriage. It is introducing a third party to a covenant that is between two people. And I don't care whether it's alcohol or drugs or shopping or Facebook or codependency. All of those things are going to cause problems in your marriage. Those are things that are going to be harmful. And here's the thing, there are so many ways to deal with addictions today. I mean, guys, there's ways to safeguard your computer if you deal with pornography and sexual addictions. And you're probably sitting there going, man, I hope nobody knows about me. But I would say that more guys have those addictions than not. From just ministry experience and dealing with it, there are things you can do and ways you can protect yourself. That, like, if you can't trust yourself. Addiction, you can't trust yourself. One of the problems with addiction is we think we can trust ourselves, and so we lie to ourselves. Then we believe the lie. Isn't that convenient? It's like, I'm going to lie to myself and believe it. And so we do that, and then we just continue deeper and deeper and deeper into the addictions, and we're hurting and destroying those who love us and care for us, not to mention hurting and destroying ourselves. Addictions are real. They're for real, man, and they will control your life. And when your spouse is under control of something else, it starts to destroy your marriage. And it can be so many things, man. I know one of the things I struggle with is, it's very much like an addiction, is depression. I love it. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's easy and it feels good. It feels good to just shut down. And when you shut down and you go so deep, man, it's so easy to just shut everybody out, especially your wife and your family and and so you can't let those things live in your marriage. There are AAs, there are NAs, there are all kinds of programs, there's counselors. If you think right now, man, our marriage is struggling, I can't afford to get counseling, what are you going to just ask around. Ask how much a divorce costs. You can afford counseling. Slogan, counseling's cheaper than divorce. Okay, get whatever help you could take. There's free counseling around, man. We got Google that will find anything for us. MarriageBuilders.com, do-it-yourself marriage counseling. But I'm talking more about like addictions and things that you're really struggling with. Man, you've got to deal with them. And listen, if you are unhealthy, and addictions are sicknesses, they're illnesses. If you are unhealthy, your marriage can never be healthy. Does that make sense to you? Like, a prosperous, healthy marriage takes two prosperous, healthy people going the same direction with the same vision and the same goals and the same do's and the same don'ts. And when we get that down, man, it's just going to make everything so much better. So that's all we got for you guys. Helpful?
She said, don't